Middletown, New Jersey, population 55,000, home to Bruce Springsteen, a place where he wrote his American anthems.
This is your hometown. This is your hometown.
It's just a snapshot of what Middle America is like. Green grass, trees.
Where young families could escape the dangers of New York, just 40 kilometres away, kept safe by Police Chief John Pollinger.
And we're proud of the fact that we have the third lowest crime rate in the United States.
But on September 11, violence ripped the heart out of Middletown. 36 locals were killed that day.
Attention, Middletown passengers. The train to New York will arrive on the Bayhead-bound track.
No small community in America felt the impact of September 11 worse than Middletown, New Jersey. In just a few hours, it lost more people than during World War II and Vietnam combined. The attacks left 20 widows and 62 children without a parent. 2 were born after their fathers died. This is a commuter town. 1 out of every 10 residents takes the hour train ride to Manhattan. Mayor Pat Parkinson called many of the victims friends.
And most of the victims, this was the last place they saw on September 11th last year in Middletown when they got on the train and went off to their jobs at the World Trade Center.
Joe Minervino never came home that day. He survived the first terrorist attack on the World Trade Center, but was one of the first to die in the second.
He spoke to me every morning. He'd call me and see if I was okay. And at 8:40 that morning, he called and we spoke. And we spoke for about 5 minutes. And the reason I know that is I put the phone down. At the end of our conversation, he said to me, "I love you, have a good day." And I said, "I love you too, have a good day." So he gave me the gift of his love the moment before he died.
He was on the 98th floor of the North Tower, wiped out as the hijacked plane struck. Barbara immediately knew her husband was dead.
But when the first visual came on, I knew it wasn't a commuter plane by the damage that was done, and I knew Lou was dead.
Cars left at the local train station provided police with the first clue of just how many locals died.
There were 200 cars still sitting in the train station. And my biggest fear was that we had lost upwards of 200 people from Middletown. And it's kind of, you had those mixed feelings. You're thankful that it wasn't 200 people, but you're still overwhelmed that we lost over 30.
Once the Twin Towers were clearly visible from Middletown across the Hudson Bay, on that day you could see the flames.
There was a cloud over the community, literally and figuratively. You could see the smoke from the Twin Towers and it drifted over the community.
Now the skyline seems empty. In any other city in the world, this would just be another construction site. But this is New York, and this is Ground Zero, as sacred as any cemetery.
I just can't believe that this happened in our country.
6 million people will visit Ground Zero this year. Today, 20-year-old Luke Brownlee from Melbourne was one of them. Like most Australians, you probably watched it on TV.
Yeah.
Does this bring home the reality of it all?
Yeah, it sort of brings back the memories of sitting at home watching it live, sort of planes crashing into the buildings, and now being here now, seeing it actually, what it actually ended up like a year later.
But what should happen to Ground Zero now?
I don't know if we should just move on and cover it up. I think something should be done. I mean, there's so many lives that were lost. There's so many people that they didn't even find. I don't think it would be very respectful.
This 6.5-hectare site sits in the heart of the world's financial district, where 4 million square metres of office space was lost. The city's new mayor, Michael Bloomberg, a man who made a fortune in finance, has no doubt New York needs to rebuild, and quickly.
After 9/11, we have to make sure that we build a great memorial and do not forget those we lost. We also have to really start focusing more on the building of the future so that the children and siblings and spouses and parents left behind have a better world.
The trouble is the 6 designs put forward were flatly rejected by New Yorkers. A final decision that was expected by the end of the year had to be postponed after no one could agree.
They were all terrible, but what was incredible was that the whole city said it was terrible. I mean, you knew the schlock when you saw it, and it was terrible.
Few people know this city and its residents better than outspoken former Mayor Ed Koch.
You should rebuild the structures that will, somewhere in that 16 acres, provide the job space for the 50,000 people who had jobs there, while honoring the 3,000 who actually died. You don't need the biggest monument ever built in the whole world. What you need is the most sensitive monument ever built in the whole world.
The economics make good sense until you see the faces of people like Wilton Sexer.
I would also like to see, of course, a memorial. What shape the memorial could take, my God, I went to, who can possibly say that?
His 31-year-old son Jason died while working on the 105th floor of the North Tower.
I'd like to see, for sure, a small area put aside, a prayer garden, where I can go and pray to my son.
After all, for many of the families of the 2,810 victims, Ground Zero is all they have left.